The most dangerous sound in the dark is not a growl. It is a desperate, gasping sob that triggers every protective instinct. Your brain screams that a helpless child is freezing just beyond the trees. Your empathy has just signed your death warrant. Listen closely past the terror. There are no pauses for breath in the wail. It is a perfect biological recording. Deep within the Appalachian wilderness, secrets have slept for thousands of years. Indigenous hunters knew the laws of this dark valley. They called it the Weeping Strangler, an apex predator that maps the exact frequency of human sorrow to draw its prey. The monster did not hunt by speed. It used our own biological empathy as a physical hook, dragging us by our instincts. In October of 1791, a party of 14 hardened frontiersmen established a camp. They were led by Captain Jedediah Vance. Captain Vance was a man who feared neither God nor nature. He ignored the warnings of the local native guides. The guides begged the men to extinguish the fires. The bright embers acted as a lighthouse for the creature. Vance laughed, igniting a massive pile of dry oak. The fire cast long, dancing shadows against the limestone walls. By midnight, a thick, freezing fog rolled down. It trapped the men in a cold embrace as the valley became deathly still. Suddenly, a sharp sound cut through the mist. It was the unmistakable, frantic wail of an infant, sounding completely abandoned. A young long hunter named Miller stood up, his hand shaking on his rifle. "There's a child out there," he whispered. The native guide lunged forward, grabbing Miller's sleeve. "Do not move. You are listening to the jaws of the woods." The crying grew exponentially louder. It sounded like an infant suffocating on its own tears just beyond the fire. Miller broke away, driven mad by the distress call. He sprinted into the thick laurels, his iron lantern swinging wildly. The remaining men waited in suffocating silence. They tracked Miller's lantern through the fog until the glow disappeared. The crying stopped instantly. Then, a low, wet clicking sound echoed from the dark, followed by the sickening crunch of bones. When morning broke, Vance led a search party. They found Miller's lantern smashed against a rock, but no blood. They found Miller inside a hollow sycamore. His eyes were wide open, staring blankly with an expression of pure horror. His chest cavity had been opened with surgical cleanliness. Every rib had been snapped outward, like the petals of a flower. The monster had not eaten him. It used his hollow torso as an acoustic board to amplify its own vocal cords. Vance ordered his men to cut down the trees. They fortified the camp, believing engineering could save them from an entity. But physical walls are useless against a predator that uses a psychological wedge to split the sanity of its prey. By the third night, rations ran low. The air grew bitter, smelling of old copper and the stench of wet earth. The crying started again, but this time it came from every direction, multiplying in the fog like hundreds of dying infants. It was practicing Miller's voice. "Help! Me! Vance!" A voice whimpered from the dark tree line in a mechanical loop. One mercenary lost his mind, firing his musket blindly into the fog until the barrel grew red hot. He hit nothing. The monster drew closer, its multi-jointed limbs scraping against the pine logs, tapping on the wood like a doctor. Ancient accounts mention a settlement in Virginia found intact yet devoid of life. Every cradle was empty. There were thousands of small circular depressions, resembling infant footprints leading directly into the swamp. Human empathy is an involuntary reflex. You cannot train your heart to ignore a baby's distress call in the dark. Vance's expedition disintegrated. Men hallucinated white blankets in the brush before walking over the wall into the dark. By the final night, Vance was the last man. He looked up and finally saw his hunter, a towering skeletal shape. Its head was a featureless bulb of bone. Its throat was a pulsing sack of translucent skin, glowing with bioluminescence. Inside that throat, Vance saw the calcified larynxes of past victims, wired together by bloody sinew and muscle. It opened a rift across its chest, revealing rows of teeth made of bone fragments harvested from the dead. Vance's journal ends with a scrawl. "The baby is not outside. It is singing inside my chest. My ribs are snapping." Military teams found no bodies. They found 14 pairs of boots arranged in a straight line, facing the wilderness. This predator is not a relic of history. It has survived, moving from the mountains down into the modern world. It waits near suburban parks and country roads, calibrating its throat sac to find the exact pitch to unlock your brain. Are you certain that the faint whimper outside your window is the wind? It has a wet mechanical rhythm. The government labels these as acoustic disappearances. Trained bloodhounds refuse to enter these woods, scratching their own ears until they bleed. You will be in your living room when that wail cuts through. Your DNA will demand that you open the door. Fight the instinct. If you step onto that deck, the air will drop to freezing and the scent of copper will fill your lungs. You will see a skeletal shape near the woodline, its spider-like limbs bending at impossible angles in the dark. The infant's cry will vibrate out of its hollow torso. You will recognize the voice of someone who vanished yesterday. The mimic has already crossed your perimeter. It uses its voice to shatter your sanity and your sense of balance. The frontiersmen of 1791 are standing in the dark right now, watching your house, waiting for your ribs to snap. Now, listen to the final choking sob outside your door. Step into the hollow chest of the mimic and play the recording forever.